Terima kasih. Thank you. And I should say Mauliate. It is a Batak language for terima kasih or thank you. Because you
Thank you.
see, ladies and gentlemen, Pak David Manalu has a tribe there, Manalu, and I am Leonard Samosir. I have also a tribe, Horas Lai. And good
Horas.
morning. All right, thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and our respectable panelists. I would like to say good morning, Jakarta time, to Miss Melissa Powell, Chief of Staff from UN Global Compact, and also for Dr. Vivi Yulaswati, MSc, the expert staff from the Ministry of National Development Planning or Bappenas. And also good morning, selamat pagi to Ibu Sinta Kamdani, Vice Chair of Indonesia Chamber of Commerce and Industry or Kadin, and also the Chief Executive Officer from Sintesa Group. Good morning, Bu Sinta.
Selamat pagi, good morning.
Selamat pagi. And last but not least, I would like to say good morning in Jakarta time to Miss Lucita Jasmine, the Director of Sustainability and External Affairs from April Group. Bu Lucita, selamat pagi.
Hi, Leonard. Good morning, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Very nice to meet you. Welcome to our very first panel of discussion today, and it's called Scaling Up Business Impact for the Decade of Action in our event, Building Stronger Partnership in the Decade of Action. On the occasion of the 75th anniversary of the Republic of Indonesia, and also the 75th anniversary of the United Nations and the 20th anniversary of the United Nations Global Compact. This event is organized by Indonesia Global Compact Network in partnership with the United Nations in Indonesia. And before we start, let me introduce myself. My name is Leonard Samosir. I'm a news anchor at Metro TV, and today I will moderate this panel of discussion. Sustainable Development Goals, ladies and gentlemen, are series points that were set in 2015 by the United Nations General Assembly and need to be achieved by nations around the world by 2030. But now, for the record, we are already far behind our schedule to achieve these points. Businesses around the world now are thinking of scaling up their efforts to achieve these goals because we need to be real, and businesses needs to take a huge responsibility to help us achieve these targets. So for the first chance, I would like to ask my first question to Miss Melissa Powell. Bu Melissa, from a global perspective, would you share with us the importance and benefits of scaling up efforts in advancing the Sustainable Development Goals? Bu Melissa.
Hello, Selamat Pagi, Bapak Ibu.
Selamat pagi.
Greetings, it's a pleasure to be here, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Greetings, friends. It's wonderful to be here. Hello to you from New York. I'd like to begin answering your question first by congratulating the IGCN for putting on this great virtual event, and to the leadership of my good friend Junardi. Now, in terms of the importance of scaling up efforts on the SDGs, we've heard that the world has made great strides towards some of the Sustainable Development Goals, but progress on others has stalled or even reversed. Income inequality continues to rise, the climate is changing very fast, and global hunger is also increasing. If left unchecked, these trends are actually going to make it harder and harder for companies and the communities where they operate to develop and to prosper. We all know that companies simply cannot thrive in societies that fail. But the good news is there are tremendous benefits for businesses who embrace the SDGs. Responsibly managed companies, such as those who take seriously the 10 principles of the Global Compact on human rights, labor, the environment, and anti-corruption, tend to be better market performers, especially over the long term. According to our UN Global Compact Annual Progress Report last year, Here in Asia Pacific, business leaders told us that brand value, trust and reputation, potential for revenue growth and cost reductions, and consumer demand are key factors driving sustainability within their companies. Year over year, we're seeing growing numbers of CEOs identifying a clear link between sustainability and business value. Now, of course, COVID-19 has caused a humanitarian and economic crisis that threatens to push the global goals even further off track. And yet, the current crisis does present a further impetus for companies to embrace the SDGs as a roadmap for building forward better, both for business and for societal benefit. The strongest corporate performers on ESG factors, environmental, social, and governance factors, are also proving to be the most resilient and therefore more attractive to investors. Now, despite some initial concerns we had that perhaps companies might deprioritize their corporate sustainability efforts, we have actually exceeded our growth targets for the year. If anything, we are finding that more and more companies now have an even better understanding of how interconnected we all are as a human family across this world, and their role in building a more ethical and sustainable global economy. I'd like to make one final point on the question of scaling up SDG and action. And this is an important point of the whole meeting today, public and private collaboration. It's critical to accelerating our progress. And to this end, Indonesia's UN country team and the IGCN have really strengthened their collaboration in recent years in a very encouraging way. And I would like to thank the UN resident coordinator, Valerie Juliand, her staff, and the entire UN country team for your engagement in this event today and for your ongoing partnership. Ms. Julian referred to the fact that we're in the midst of perhaps the perfect storm. And I think that although that might be true, I'd like to share that I think we have our lighthouse to guide us through that storm. And that lighthouse is the Sustainable Development Goals. We believe that companies can be a powerful force for good when they unite behind the principles, values, and goals of the United Nations and really scale up their action to achieve the SDGs. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Melissa. Very well said, and it is really encouraging us in these difficult times. And I will move to the next speaker. I would like to ask to Ibu Amalia Adininggar. I'm sorry, Ibu Vivi. Ibu Vivi Yulaswati. I'm sorry, Bu. From the government's perspective, what is the current status of the achievement of the SDGs in Indonesia? Apa yang dilihat oleh pemerintah Indonesia mengenai pencapaian target SDGs di Indonesia saat ini? Ibu Vivi, silakan.
Thank you, Leonard. Should I respond in English or in Indonesia?
Both languages, it's okay, Bu. Silakan.
Okay, I'll respond in English then.
Yes.
To have a picture and more detail of the current status of the achievement of the SDGs in Indonesia, we may read from the SDGs Annual Report 2019 that had been launched last October. The report informed the progress of the SDG achievement as well as the process and a result of the achievement toward around 280 indicators. Approximately 52% or around 146 indicators have reached the target of SDGs within SDGs Action Plan to 2017-2019. So we still have around 30% or 84% indicators that are not reported, including not achieved. Unfortunately, COVID-19 also hits various SDGs achievement, as we may know. For example, on the health, on the poverty due to the contraction of economic activities that have reduced the job opportunity and increased open unemployment. The vulnerability of the people increase. So we have in last March 2020, we have additional new poor around 1.63 million people. So currently we have 9.78% of the people under the poverty line. So work from home and also the large scale of social and physical restrictions have limit human mobility while there is no certain when the pandemic will end. So this is the major challenge that we face. COVID-19 brings understanding that social, economic, environment, as well as good governance balance must be maintained. Ignoring one side in the end is the disaster will bring the disaster in one side. So on in another side, so the COVID-19 pandemic is very bitter lesson in the evolution of our life today. That's why the SDG is so important.
Okay, thank you, Ibu Vivi Yulaswati, for your words. Yes, the COVID-19 really affects all of us very hard. But I would like to ask Ibu Sinta Kamdani then. Bu Sinta, from the Indonesia Chamber of Commerce and Industry perspective, what are some positive contributions your members have made, and what are some challenging areas that private sectors still need to address? And it is especially when nowadays we are still struggling and facing the COVID-19 pandemic. Bu Sinta, silakan.
Yes. Thank you, Leonard. And, congratulations again to UN and IGCN. This is a tremendous achievement. I think long journey in trying to bring all stakeholders together in achieving SDG. I have to say, Leonard, that actually COVID-19 has been a very wake-up call for businesses. And I think when you talk about collaborative actions, this is really when we are sitting in a crisis, then you can really see how collaborative actions really work. And I just want to share a little bit, first of all, before I touch on SDG, to show that during this pandemic, of course, a lot of businesses are impacted. Many people lost their jobs. Many employees have to be put, stay at home. So there are many impact, both all from health, from social, as well as from the economic side. And we've seen a tremendous effort, and Kadin has been mobilizing businesses during COVID to basically support in all these areas. On the health side, there's companies converting, from producing, garments into more PPE and masks and so forth. Also mobilizing food for those people in needs, basic needs. And also we've seen a big effort. We raised like almost more than 500 billion rupiah, and to really support also people and businesses that are currently facing a lot of issues. So we've seen this collaborative action works, especially during crisis. But we've also seen that during this crisis, we've been thinking a lot about SDG. I think our worry also that all the works and progress that has been done, we would now want to continue and not regress. And I think this is why, to me, COVID has been also a momentum for us to really relook from the business side how SDG can be used as well for transformation for a lot of the businesses that's undergoing right now. And Kadin, as the umbrella of businesses in Indonesia, so we are our established mandate and law, I think it is really our job to ensure that this can really work. And you know, we've talked a lot about SDG. There's been a lot of dialogue, a lot of words, but I think at the end of the day, it's the action that matters. So I would like to start by saying that I think there's a number of effort that needs to be realized. First of all, understanding what SDG really means and how business can really participate and how business can really embed it SDG into their model to really support this effort. So I think the question has always been for business is the how to, right? I mean, we can really count by our fingers how many actually companies, even in Indonesia, that has really done tremendous work and effort on this. So I want to start by saying that I think the biggest challenges is having an understanding how important SDG is and how business can really contribute. And I think this is really the fundamental issue that needs to be understood by a lot of businesses. And if I see, you know, we work very closely also with government. I am happy to say now that it's very clear the government has its SDG into their medium long-term plan, state planning. So it's very, very clear the target on what government wants to do. Now, I think the how-to aspect and how business then can participate is really the key. We've seen figures. I think Bappenas has come up with a figure of about 10 trillion rupiah more in total cost needed to achieve the SDG goals. Now, this is not a small number, and this number cannot definitely come from the government only. So this is where business needs to understand that with SDG, there's also a cost element that needs to be incorporated. So investing in SDG, I think, is really the key for businesses to start moving forward. So when we talk about the how to, I think many businesses have a lot of also a misperception about SDG, thinking that SDG means just doing CSR for companies. And I think CSR can be a big part, but definitely CSR only will not bring us very far moving forward with SDG. So I think it is very important that we understand that SDG needs to be embedded into companies, into their business models, integrating SDG into their business. And based on our experience, I really see that the basic also challenge come to its people. So when we want to do this, it comes from the leadership, the CEO themselves, and I think GSN also has mobilized this, and how CEO can be committed, because leadership is very important from the business side, that they are committed, that they would want to do this, and then bring in SDG by identifying which goals companies would like to focus on. So you know, we have to go through all this effort together, and companies can't walk alone, because in order for them to understand, I think there need to be a lot of sharing best practices, you know, and this has to come from working together. So I think this is our job, you know, in Kadin as well, to facilitate more business in understanding and the how to incorporating SDG. Thank you.
Thank you, Bu Sinta Kamdani. It is the keywords how to for business to incorporate SDGs because it just like Bu Sinta told, it will cost for those companies to achieve the SDGs targets. I would like to ask Ibu Lucita Jasmine. Your company recently launched a vision or agenda 2030, Bu Lucita. How are these initiatives helping your company to scale up business impact in this decade of action? Please, Bu Lucita.
Thank you, Leonard. Good morning again, everyone. I'm really glad to be part of this esteemed all-woman panelist, which is a very welcome change. And I think it's also foreboding of this transformation that we're all talking about, right? As everyone has mentioned, we all recognize that we're still living in unprecedented times. And as Ibu Vivi has just mentioned, the COVID-19 economic impact in Indonesia has pushed up to 1.6 million people, if I recall correctly what she says, to more people to poverty, in addition to the 26 million people who are already living below poverty line. So clearly this pandemic has created even more urgency for all of us to address some of the world's biggest challenges. Now, many of the panelists have already pointed out that any recovery from this partnership can only be transformative if it is founded on sustainability. And I believe really that this is the momentous opportunity before us in the private sector, in business. It is about truly transforming and scaling up our impact on sustainable development, not just in Indonesia, but also at the global level. Now, April 2030 is our company's response to this interconnected imperatives of meeting the 2030 development agenda, while also staying within global climate targets of maintaining global warming to up to 1.5 or below 1.5 degrees Celsius, in fact, and at the same time also to respond to this growing call to improve our protection of nature. So in short, it is really about delivering a positive impact on climate, nature, and people. Now, our vision encompasses 4 key commitments. So first, it's about being climate positive. Second, it's championing thriving landscapes. Third, it's about enabling inclusive progress. And fourth, it's about driving sustainable growth. By 2030, our company commits to achieve net zero carbon emissions from our land use, positive gains in biodiversity and ecosystem values, and at the same time also eradicating extreme poverty in our communities up to 50 kilometers from our operational boundaries. Now, these are only our banner targets. The 4 commitment pillars actually cover 18 clear and measurable targets. Now, climate positive includes 4 targets that will drastically reduce our emissions from our forestry and manufacturing operations. And this will be through science-based approach. Thriving landscape includes 6 targets to champion conservation and biodiversity protection. And this will be aligned with the growing call for science-based target setting for nature. Inclusive progress has 5 targets, and this will be centered on empowering people and communities through transformative initiatives across healthcare, education, and of course, championing equal opportunity for women within our organization and also in terms of community engagement. And finally, sustainable growth includes 3 targets on diversification, circularity, and responsible production, which will be the main drivers of our growth. So all in all, actually, April 2030 is ambitious, it's challenging, but it's also achievable. You see, it's actually our roadmap for transforming and scaling our impact, and also for delivering on the SDGs in Indonesia. Now, there's been a lot of conversations about SDGs and how business should be at the core of the delivery of the SDGs. And I agree with Ibu Shinta when she says that really it should go beyond CSR, and it's really about embedding it in the core of our business. Now, over the past 3 years now, we have actually been working with PwC in Singapore with guidance from the UN Development Program in Indonesia on this process of identifying our priority SDGs. We knew at the onset we couldn't be as impactful if we would spread ourselves thin across all 17. We needed to find our entry points where we can make the most impact. So the SDGs are the foundation of the April 2030 commitments. And basically from this process, we have identified 4 core priority SDGs. By core, we mean these are the ones that are salient to our business. And these are SDGs 12, 13, 15, and 17. So this would be responsible production, climate, life on land, and of course, partnerships. And then we also chose 3 catalytic SDGs, which are the SDGs that are very much salient to our values as
All
an
right.
organization. So in short, basically this prioritization has enabled us to focus our investments and at the same time to also define the foundation for our April 2030 moving forward.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Lucita Jasmine. I would like to ask more for Ms. Melissa Powell. Ms. Melissa, as the Chief of Staff from UN Global Compact, what is actually this COVID-19 pandemic effects for the achievements of SDGs globally? Will this pandemic make more delays? You see that we have already known that we already delayed in achieving it for 2030. Will it be achievable in, let's say, 2050 or 2100? Please, Bu Melissa.
Thanks so much for your question. I mean, the point of the Global Compact really trying to encourage even greater action on the SDGs is to try to accelerate progress and try to meet the 2030 agenda by the deadline of 2030, despite the challenges that we've been hearing today. But we believe that the only way that we're going to do that is if we have a massive rise in the ambition and performance of companies on sustainability. Just like we were hearing the goals and targets that our colleague from April was talking about, the world is just not delivering progress at the speed and scale that we need to meet the SDGs. And I think, as we've heard from one of our other panelists as well, companies are understanding why the SDGs are important, but they want to know how. Like, how do they actually go about the kind of prioritization that we're hearing? And this is why the Global Compact launched our initiative called SDG Ambition. And it aims to challenge and support participating companies to set much more ambitious corporate targets for accelerating the integration of the SDGs into the company's core business. And the whole aim of this program is to help companies move beyond just incremental progress to really unlocking business value, building business resilience, and achieving long-term growth. And we're really delighted that our Global Compact Network in Indonesia is implementing SDG Ambition with companies right here in Indonesia. Your leadership really responds to the growing demand that we're seeing in this region among business leaders for this kind of guidance and support on these issues. CEOs in Asia Pacific have told us that their top barriers to implementing sustainability are mainly strategy related: competing strategic priorities, difficulty extending the strategy across their supply chain, and challenges implementing their strategy across all of the business functions and the business units. I mean, it's not so easy. We can make it sound easy sometimes through words, but it's not so easy. And our SDG Ambition initiative helps companies to tackle these kinds of barriers. So participating companies will assess their current performance, identify risk areas, discover new opportunities across business units and functions, and take more ambitious business action, like setting science-based targets aligned with a 1.5 degree or equal representation of women on your company's board.
All right.
So setting these ambitious targets are really important. Too often, corporate sustainability goals go untracked and they're siloed. In order for us to really accelerate progress, goals have to be measurable, tangible, practical, and scalable. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Melissa. I would like to ask for Bu Vivi. Bu Vivi, actually, what is the component of SDGs that had been hardest hit by this COVID-19 pandemic, Bu Vivi?
You mean the targets, the goals?
Yes, the goals. I mean, you said earlier that this pandemic has already adding more poor people in Indonesia, and the poverty line is adding up. What other targets, Bu, yang had been hit hard by this COVID-19?
Yeah, when we're talking about the impact from the pandemic, it hits a lot to the people, particularly in the context of health. I mean, bringing the vulnerability when the people already have kind of like a comorbid, and also the vulnerability when they lost the job or reduce their income. These vulnerability will lead to other kind of reduction of chance to achieve the other target of SDGs, like target 3, 4, even 5. Yeah, is about gender perspective. When mother have more burden to take care not only the house, cook, can also now become a teacher. That brings some not a good perspective in that regard. So learning from there, I think we are aware that the rise of the pandemic has hit many goals of the SDGs 2030. But as Bu Sinta and Bu Lucita also mentioned, that it's opened up momentum to build a new normal that are more inclusive, fair, and also sustainable. So I would say that the future is actually now. When we're talking about the new normal, it doesn't mean that we are going back to the old normal. Yeah, we have now a new way of doing things.
Yeah.
Learning from our healthier life now. Yeah, clean our hands in frequent time, strengthening the family ties with values, of course, and also the commitment and also the collaboration in our neighborhood and communities. These all
Okay.
are spirits of SDGs that of the inclusion and one left behind.
All right. Thank you. Terima kasih, Bu Vivi. Uh, really encouraging discussion, but I'm afraid that we are going to end this discussion. But before that, I would like to ask for each of you, ladies, to give us closing remarks for approximately 1 minute. And I would like to ask Bu Sinta first. Bu Sinta, silakan.
Yes, I think it's very important, Leonard, that the topic is how do we scale up, right? How business can scale up, and we talk about a partnership. I think partnership is really key to scaling up. Businesses should focus, of course, on what they want in terms of how they're gonna work on their SDG goals. In Syntesa, we also have SDG across our operation. We call it, the SDG roadmap, Syntesa for the Earth. But it's not enough that Syntesa does alone. How does all businesses create the same things, right? How can we scale up? And scaling up can only be built by partnership. And partnership cannot just be among business, but also with the government, with other stakeholders. So we need to have a common goal. We need to have a concrete action that all stakeholders have to be engaged. And I think this is the role that we want to continue playing to facilitate. We want to see more companies participating. And I think the mindset of leaders and the mindset of people needs to be really, change that the momentum of how SDG can really also transform businesses moving forward. I think that's the key. And I would like to just mention a little bit. I know we're running out of time because Pak Tiko mentioned about the Indonesia Impact Fund. We are launching the Indonesia Impact Fund. Actually, this is on investing to support investment in SDG for startups. And this is the first fund that is a private public collaboration. So I just want to show some concrete sample how private businesses and state-owned enterprises are working together to create this fund and actually support more SDG, because we do have to start also from the from the beginning. When startups, when SMEs are looking into SDG, they definitely have to be supported. Thank you.
Thank you, Bu Sita Kamdani. I would like to ask closing remarks from Bu Lusita Jasmine, please.
Thanks, Leonard. So I guess I'll just end with 3 points here. First, the announcement of any vision is really, it's an important step, excuse me, but it's just the beginning. Really where you make a difference is in real action at the local level, right? Not even really at the global and the national level. It's really where you operate, where you can make the most impact. Second, businesses cannot thrive in a society that fails. We know very well that we have to bring the communities along with us in our growth. And the third point finally is that, of course, we heard earlier about the point of the challenge of having competing strategies. But I think in our company, we have demonstrated, for example, that conservation and development, production and protection are complementary strategies. They're two sides of the same coin. They're not a dichotomy. One can only enable the other. And we aim to really champion this model of sustainable development in Indonesia over the next 10 years. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Ibu Lusita Jasmine. I would like to ask a closing remark from Ibu Vivi Yulaswati. Silakan, Bu.
Yeah, thank you. I'd like to use this opportunity to mention that the Bappenas, in collaboration with Financial Service Authority, the OJK, the Indonesian Stock Exchange and the Global Reporting Initiative have developed a planning format or platform and reporting for companies. So the field format will be integrated into the SDGs National Action Plan as well at the sub-national level. By understanding each other activities and involved to the inclusive process, the SDGs National Action Plan will be used as the common framework of all stakeholders to synergize the effort of collective action. So it can be used as a platform for resource mobilization, to boost alignment on the development priorities, to address synergies as well as the trade-off, and of course prioritize all reforms that we need or will do due to the COVID-19. Thank you.
Thank you, Bu Vivi Yulaswati. Terima kasih. And I'm sorry, Mr. Fritz, could you please turn off your microphone? And last but not least, I would like to ask the closing remark from Ibu Melissa Powell. Miss Melissa Powell, please.
Great, thanks so much. I think I'll share 3 points too. I think the first one is if COVID-19 has taught us anything, I think it's that our collective health and prosperity really depends upon us working together to protect people and our planet and leaving no one behind. The second point I would say is that I think that leadership from each of us, whether we're working in the public sector or the private sector, we really need to step up rather than pointing fingers at others and wondering why others are not doing more. I think we need to look more at ourselves and what more we can do every day to help our world to really achieve the SDGs. And my third point would be, at this time when the need for global cooperation is really more urgent than ever to secure our world's future, I think the business community has the opportunity and also arguably the responsibility to join forces with governments and civil society, with young people and all stakeholders to help us to build stronger partnerships in this decade of action. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Miss Melissa Powell. Bapak Ibu, ladies and gentlemen, it is very encouraging discussions. And I do hope, really do hope that in this discussion can bring us to build stronger partnerships in the decade of actions. I would like to not take any conclusion because we already shared, and let us struggle together to face not only this COVID-19 pandemic, but really to achieve the SDGs in every nations. And before closing this panel, I would like to ask all of you to put your very beautiful faces, and we would like to take a group picture together. Okay. All right, I will do the countdown in 3. But I'm not sure who will shoot the photo. Is this the committee, Pak David, or should I do that? All right. Okay. So just I will tell the countdown. 3, 2, 1, smile. All right. Once more. In 3, 2, 1, smile. All right. Thank you once again, Ibu Melissa Powell and Ibu Vivi Yulaswati, Ibu Sinta Kamdani, and Ibu Lucita Jasmine. I'm sorry if I've made mistakes in moderating this panel. Let's stay healthy and God bless. I would like to hand over this microphone to my Mr. David Manado. Thank you.